Welcome back everyone, my name is Beggles and I am looking into the best games that you can find on Steam in February. Now January was an okay month. I had a couple of hits, a couple of misses, but to be honest, February looks like it's pretty stacked. So watch as long as you can tolerate and let me know in the comments which is your favorite title.
What does that actually mean? Fortune.
We are starting off with what I think is probably up there as one of the top 3 gaming releases of the year, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, releasing on the 4th of February. In this game, you will play as Henry of Skalitz, who is on a journey to avenge murdered parents, setting off on a life as a warrior, rebel, and doing a whole lot of quests set in a medieval universe. Anyone who's played Kingdom Come Deliverance 1 knows that the storyline is going to be unique, almost like you're playing through an epic and long medieval style action movie. I've got a feeling this one is going to be heavily streamed, so those who like to watch others play their games, keep an eye out for what could possibly be the best RPG game of this year. First person action style combat, a whole lot of dialogue, and some really quirky characters are going to join you on this journey. And I remember streaming the first game, there was a couple of scenes there I was like, oh, this is a bit risky, so definitely one for the mature gamers. Let's move on to another first-person game, and this time the fantasy RPG from Obsidian Entertainment, Avowed. Avowed lets you play through the living lands, a mysterious island filled with danger. Your job is to investigate the spreading plague that is attacking the living lands, and discover an ancient secret that threatens to destroy everything. There's a whole lot of weapons here that you'll get to play through, and different companions that are going to fight alongside you. When I look through the trailer of Avowed, I think it looks kinda nice, but we'll be curious to see whether there's a bit of quality missing here. Nonetheless, a very heavily followed fantasy magic RPG game, releasing on the 18th of February. Hey, let's move on to something a little bit different for the pixel graphic lovers like myself. Keep Driving is an atmospheric RPG game all about the life on the open road. You have a lot of options here, things such as picking up hitchhikers, that's completely safe, working odd jobs, and needing to do things like repair your car and find the way that you're going to access the route across the country. Set within the early 2000s and there's a really old retro style looking car, you'll get to play through a procedurally generated open world in what I think looks really relaxing and awesome. It looks like there's a bit of inventory management and maybe some mini games as well that you get to play through, and of course you get the chance to collect some pretty awesome music from local Swedish indie bands. That sounds like fun. After the action of the first 2 games in this video, I thought it was time to chuck in a relaxing style game, and Keep Driving definitely fits that genre. Keep Driving releases on the 6th of Feb. Some people might say that this franchise is so addictive that it should be illegal, and it's probably the first video game in my whole life where I stayed up all night playing and realized it was dawn. It's Civilization 7, the newest chapter in one of the most addictive, well-loved turn-based strategy style games. Fans of this franchise will know exactly what to expect here, with upgraded graphics and a few extra civilizations and places that you can play as. I can't pronounce some of them, but it looks kinda cool. You'll construct cities, do a whole lot of research, choose whether you want to be a peaceful neighbor or do some pretty modern looking warfare on enemies to force them to agree with what you've got planned. As you play through the different ages, you will see some stunning looking graphics in your map, with a lot of historically interesting buildings and accomplishments to play through. I'm sure a lot of people already have this game ready to go. It's coming 11th of Feb. I've already done a few videos about Sworn, and it's interesting that they've actually updated their trailers, so if you've had this on your wish list, go back, have a look. They've got some cinematic style trailers and some interesting, actually they're showing less gameplay footage than they used to, but definitely something that's nice to look at. Sworn is a co-op action roguelike game where you play in a fallen King Arthurian style Camelot time where you need to kind of attack the corrupted Arthur and his knights, so it's a little bit medieval twisted kind of action here. You can play as 1 to 4 different characters that will have different attacks, different weapons that you get to utilize, and play through some really stunning looking environments. I'll be playing this in single player. I'm hoping there's enough there for us that don't have friends to play in co-op with. Lovers of Life is Strange and those very dialogue-driven narrative games that I never got into will most likely have Lost Records, Bloom and Rage on their wishlist, coming out on the 17th of Feb. This retro-style narrative game is set in the summer of 1995 as you create the memories of a lifetime. Interestingly enough though, something happened all those years ago, and you'll need to confront some dark secrets that kind of created this promise with you and your friends that you wouldn't speak about it. It definitely has that 90s VHS vibes of a few friends going through the wilderness together with a little dark undertones. And of course with this style game, the choices that you make will matter. There'll be lots of different endings for you to try and play through. And it's got some really nice looking voice acting and things like that. So I'll be keeping an eye on the reviews for Lost Records, Bloom and Rage. KAISERPUNK. I feel like it's been a while since I saw a good city builder. I reckon there was a point last year where I was playing like 2 or 3 every month. And I like the look of KAISERPUNK, releasing on the 27th of Feb, which is based in this alternate reality of a 20th century world. There's a lot of logistics and production management here for you to play through as you build and manage your city, trying to expand on a political style map, but with some really cool city building here. There's the ability to build on land and on water, and some pretty cool looking warfare. I'll be curious to see how they link in the grand strategy with the ability to conquer other regions and see whether they find that really nice balance between the building aspects and then the warfare and strategy aspects. I've got high hopes for KAISERPUNK. What do you think? Die in the Dungeon. I actually game tested this, I think like 2 or 3 years ago, and I remember it being a really addictive game. So I was kind of excited when I saw that it's releasing on February the 21st. This is a dice-based and turn-based roguelike game where you use dice, and you need to manipulate and control and use strategy with your board to try and deal as much damage and defeat those enemies. Every dice represents a different action, and you have the ability to improve your dice, combine them together, and create some really cool synergies. This was a really tactical game from memory, and one of those ones that feels simple on your first playthrough until you realize you can unlock some really cool combinations, and then all of a sudden you're playing through it over and over again. Monster Hunter Wilds. Capcom is back with the latest release of a game that has, I don't know, a gajillion fans that seem to buy every release that they make. In Monster Hunter Wilds, you'll be upgrading weapons, defeating humongous monsters, as you play through a story of monsters and humans living together in a world of duality. That doesn't sound like Monster Hunter to me. Normally it's the humans trying to defeat the monsters. I'll be curious to see where the storyline goes here. Monster Hunter is definitely not one of my favorite franchises, but there's so many fans out there, so I'm sure that 27th February is going to be quite a big launch. If nothing else, these games usually play quite well and don't disappoint too often. Let's do a city builder that's a little bit different, quite quirky, and is definitely not going to have the visual scope of KAISERPUNK that we mentioned earlier. Dawnfolk is the charming, dark and minimalistic style city builder as you gather resources, protect your people from some evils, and try and bring some light back to the world. You will play alongside a mythical creature called the Lure, a companion who will light your way in the darkness as you explore an uncharted medieval world, manage resources, build cities, and survive for as long as you can. I like the fact there's mini games in here. I like the fact that Dawnfolk is being itself and not trying to just be a copy of another game. This is my style of game, so I've included it in the video. Releasing on the 26th of Feb, definitely not my style of game, but I've seen it listed around a different few websites, and I think it's got a bit of a popular following. It's called Hollywood Animals, a game in which you take control of your own Hollywood studio and produce films and try and manage through some pretty interesting and dark kind of themes that just happen to be happening at the time. Alright, the last game, Like a Dragon, Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii. Gonna go through this one quickly because I featured it in my top upcoming RPG game videos, so if you missed it, you can check it there. This Sega quirky RPG game is based around a Yakuza member who gets stranded on an island and becomes a pirate, and then gets to go to this little pirate village and do a whole lot of pirating, fighting some menacing looking enemies, having these epic ship battles, in a game that has that classic Sega kind of arcade style to it. Looks like it'll be a little bit of fun with a whole lot of different gameplay mechanics there to explore. 20th of Feb release for Like a Dragon, Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii. There you have it, 12 very exciting looking games coming out in February 2025. Let me know which game is at the top of your radar. If you've watched this far through, please leave a comment and subscribe to the channel. It lets YouTube know that maybe some people would like to watch my videos. I sure would appreciate it. Thanks for watching, see you soon.